Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another outdoors edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, as promised. Yes, this is being filmed on the same day as I filmed the cot stealing review. This is going to be another SMS scaring myself shitless spooky season Halloween edition because yesterday I was able to check out the latest Jordan Peele produced horror film, Him. It's actually directed by Justin Tipping and stars Tyreek Withers, Marlon Wayans, and Julia Fox. And I was very excited for this one, man, because again, even though, and I have to clarify this because there's definitely some confusion on this, even though Jordan Peele didn't direct this one, to me, so far he has a pretty good track record as far as horror goes, whether he's directing or producing. He directed, of course, Get Out, Us, Nope, all three of which I enjoyed, and he produced the Candyman reboot, which I also really enjoyed. So safe to say, I was very much looking forward to Him. It's not really, I don't even think off the top of my head I can name a sports horror film. I'm sure others exist, but they're probably like more, obscure B movies or cult movies, because I cannot think of one off the top of my head. The closest one I can think of is Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox, but that's definitely a comedy. This is straight up horror mixed with the sports genre. So I was really looking forward to this one, and unfortunately, we have ourselves here like a classic case of style over substance. Like, let me just clarify this. This is a beautifully shot movie. It's a very good looking horror film for sure. The cinematographer, hats off to them. The way that shots are framed, the shot sizes, all that good stuff. So hats off to the cinematography team and the camera people. And also Marlon Wayans, who I've never been a fan of. That like over the top, gross out, subgenre of comedy that he's known for, shot comedy or whatever you want to call it. Never been a fan of it. I can't stand white chicks or any of the scary movies, and I know they have their fans and following, and that's cool. If you find those movies funny, more power to you. But safe to say, I've never been a Marlon Wayans fan or a Wayans Brothers fan. But clearly here, he's playing. He's in a more serious, more grounded role. There's a bit of a comedic element to it, but it's definitely overall one of his more serious roles. On the level of Requiem for a Dream, and he totally crushes it in this movie, man. Like, honestly, to the point where I wish that this was just straight up a Marlon Wayans led movie, but he's playing this mentor figure to Tyreek Withers, who is our protagonist for the film. But I definitely found Wayans the more interesting character, the more charismatic character, and the character who had the most layers to him. Outside of it just being a really good looking movie, and outside of having one terrific performance that I'm definitely going to remember for a while, there's really nothing much else to him, unfortunately. I wish I could say otherwise, but there really isn't. It seems like at points there is going to be more story wise, but it really just kind of like flies by. I think it clocks in at an hour and 30 minutes, so not a long movie. And for what they were trying to do, and just like based off the fact that sometimes the movie could get a little bit too pretentious, a little bit on the nose. Like, hey, look what we're doing, look what we're citing, look what we're referencing. Like, we're referencing the Bible here. We have allegories to Jesus here. I feel like if you're gonna do all that, and especially if you're gonna be all pretentious about it, you gotta at least have a runtime that's 2 hours. But this movie literally just flies by, has no payoff to anything that it sets up, and at a lot of certain points, it's just surreal for what feels like just for the sake of being surreal, just for the sake of being like disorienting, in terms of like how it's edited. There's one scene that's like, if you're epileptic, there's one scene where you're probably gonna want to leave the theater, but there's no reason to it. There's no payoff to it. It just does that just to, at least in my opinion, like come off as very pretentious. So kind of let down, because I've said this before, whenever we get another black led horror film, I'm always like crossing my fingers, hoping like, just please be really good, please stand out. I don't want there to just be like like a handful of good black horror films. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I want to see more good black horror. But this really did let me down. I walked out off disappointed because it never like pays off anything that it seems to set up. And those like allegories to the Bible, those allegories to Jesus, literally, well, I can't say literally go nowhere, because there is a certain point where it's like, okay, that's why we were doing that. Like, they technically explain the whole Jesus metaphor, but it really just doesn't feel impactful. We don't really I feel like spend a lot of time with this main character we have here for me to like care about what they're trying to say about him and what they're trying to say about the price of fame, the price of being a famous football player and all that good stuff. I feel like, again, if this was longer and they like, you know, spent more time on character development and setting this guy up, then I'd be like, okay, I see what they're doing, and I do kind of feel sorry for this guy, because, you know, I don't follow football at all, but I do know all about the stuff that's come out. I do know all about, you know, the brain damage, brain trauma, all that unfortunate stuff that football players deal with. But you don't really get any of what I just said, any of those like real life facts or real life like you know, allegories in this movie, at least not to the point where it's actually impactful. They kind of just like, you know, like just kind of like great what am I saying, they just kind of like glaze over it. Obviously you get some references to the fact that like, yeah, you know, concussions when you like bang heads together, you do get some of that, but I just really never cared about our lead here, who's trying to be, you know, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, because they spend like literally no time developing this guy's character. He just kind of like glides along in this movie, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so wrapping it up, I was leaning more towards a 4.5 out of 10, but I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the, you know, best looking horror films that I have ever seen. So just for the cinematography alone, and just for you know, just a really terrific performance by Marlon Wayans, I enjoyed him every time he was on screen, I will be merciful and go ahead and give him a 5 out of 10. I don't know if it deserves it, but I really did like those two elements of this film very much. And hell, I even liked, you know, some of the, you know, overly pretentious on the nose things that they did, because, you know, I mean it looked good, you know, but they just don't pay it off or build or you know, like build up to it in any way whatsoever. They just do it because hey, Bible metaphors, hey, we're being surreal. So therein lies the problem. All style and no substance with him, and the ending was just anticlimactic as hell. I was just kind of like, wow, well, that this was all for nothing. So yeah, 5 out of 10 for him. I will fully admit that I'm probably being a bit merciful on the film. It really deserves a 4.5 out of 10, or maybe even just a straight up 4. But I did like how it looks. I liked Wayans' performance in it. I really did. And again, even though it was kind of like pretentious in what it did, because it just did it for the sake of being like, it felt like for being artsy, because it doesn't, you know, explain itself or pay anything off at all. I did like some of the surreal scenes and the surreal elements and all that good stuff. So it's a 5 out of 10 for him. This has been another SMS edition of Wade Watches, another rare outdoor edition, because I'm just trying to catch up on reviews. And I'll see you folks next time. And what did you guys think of him? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Is it like your least favorite Jordan Peele produced film? Is it your favorite Jordan Peele back film? Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you lovely people next time. Peace.